Hey y'all, and welcome back to the Girl Be You podcast. It is Gigi, your host, and here at this podcast, we are creating a space for you to be your most authentic self in a world full of chaos. And baby, we know what? It is chaotic out there. Be safe. And in order to be safe, you have to protect your joy and protect your peace. And over here, what am I doing? Always doing that and always inspiring you to do the same. One of the ways that I protect my peace and keep my joy is doing what? Reading. Welcome back to this episode of I Read the Book, and here's what I would ask the author. So I am a sucker for physical books. Sometimes I will buy tons and tons of physical books, add them to the bookshelf, add them to the library at the home, and not read them. So I challenged myself to read the books that I actually bought before I bought another one. Okay. And so if you've been following me for this series, you know that I've read a few other books that I talk about. So make sure that you go check those out. This week, we are talking about a very special one. This author kind of pulled me in a while ago after a book that I read. There are some more books of hers that I want to read, but I read one of her books that I have on my shelf, and it's right here. Oh, I'm good. And it's called Long After We Are Gone. And I find that this author does a really, really good job of telling layered stories, right? A layered story that pulls you in. That book that I read was really, really good. I read it a while ago, a couple years ago maybe, and I loved everything about it. It was so good because it was an intergenerational story, and it was at a time personally when my own family was going through some things of our family, and just grieving and knowing how to handle your loved one's legacy. And so the book was really, really good. So when I saw that she had a new book coming out, I was like, oh, I got to get it. Not only did I have to get it, I loved the art on this book, okay? And I did not realize that it was a special edition until I was down on the threads and people were saying that they couldn't find this book. They were looking for the book, they couldn't find it, blah, 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 blah. And child, I had no idea. I had no idea that I had like this special edition of this book. I had heard so much about it. People said they read it. They were just so pulled in. And I was like, okay, now, can't be that good. Baby, they ain't lie. They ain't lie. Where the Wildflowers Grow by Terah Shelton Harris. Y'all. This book. And before we get into the subject of the book, just look at that. Look at that. That is just so beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful. I cannot talk enough about this book. If you know me, you know I don't like giving away any storylines. I always tell people, just go read the book. Go read the book. And when I say read this book, I mean read this book. This book took me on a journey, and a journey that I haven't necessarily been on in a long time with a book. And the reason is that this book unearthed so many emotions of a personal journey, one that is very layered, very nuanced, it's complicated. It's one of, loving your parents, but also side-eyeing your parents. And I'm not going to get into the details because I'm telling you, you have to read this book. But also, it is such a beautiful love story. Oh, gosh, such a beautiful love story of vulnerability. And, just, how you can just picture like a summer, like an Indian summer type of feeling, and it's warm, but it's a little cool, and you are going through these feelings and these emotions of love, but yet something is on the horizon that could change all of that. That is what this book does to me, the story of it, and just watching. And it's beautiful that the story is about wildflowers and it's about where this wildflower can grow. Girl, where can it grow? And it is such a beautiful story of acceptance of those around you, but also acceptance of yourself, acceptance of how you love your story and how you navigate your own story, as well as the threat of what that looks like when you do tell the full story. Because there are times in our lives that I feel like it is hard to be vulnerable. It is so hard because your level of being vulnerable means trusting those around you. And sometimes you can't always trust those around you. So it is this sense of like, can I trust you with my story? Can I trust you with me? Ooh, can I trust you with me? And Miss Harris does an amazing job of pretty much unveiling that story, but also leaving you yearning for more. Like, girl, what happened? What's gonna happen? Because a quarter of the way through, I'm like, okay. And then as I get close to the end, I'm like, wait, no, wait. Oh gosh, wait. Is this really gonna happen? Is this gonna be the happily ever after? You really don't know until you keep reading. It is a story of survival. Survival from beginning to end, to also learning that yes, I survived, and yes, I did have to go through a moment of surviving, but now I can learn to live. Ooh, see, that'll preach all by itself. And I'm telling you, you have to read this. Everything they said about it, you have to. You gotta read it. You gotta go buy it. Now, you may not be as special as me and get this cover, but baby, I'm telling you, go get it, add it to your library, and read it immediately. Okay? 5 out of 5. I know y'all are like, gee, every time you say a book, you say it's 5 out of 5 because each book to me gives something different. And again, this is an author's art. And I don't like judging the author's art so harshly because I feel like there is something that we can grab and something that we can pull into our hearts when we read an author's art, right? So, ooh, and I'm not even giving it any justice really by telling you what it's about because I'm just not that girl. I'm not that girl to give you spoilers. I just, I just believe that you should read it for yourself. You should read it for yourself. But I will say, Lay is the last of the wilds. And is Lay really her name? She knows this because she watched them all die. Okay. Okay. Grief never fades. And when I tell you that is so true. Grief never fades. Minding your own business. Grief sneaks up in the middle of you minding your own business and be like, hello, how are you? Please. But this story right here, and not only is it just Lay's story, but it is interwoven with so many other people's story. And I love that it's a Southern love story and but also a story that compels you to check your own story. What's your story? Are you being vulnerable? Are you the wildflower? Are you growing? So if I had the opportunity to interview Miss Harris, this is what I would ask, as I always do. What is your writing process? How do we get this masterpiece? How? Please tell me how we got this. What was your research like? How did you arrive that this was a story that you wanted to tell? How did you arrive on this title? How did you get there? And while both Lay and Jackson are vulnerable, how did you pin the vulnerability so much that it will pull us in as we are readers and as I am reading? And did your heart break just a little bit as you wrote this? because, baby, my heart was breaking. And I just want to understand that when you wrote this, like, I want to understand the emotions that you felt. At what chapter were you like, "Ooh, this one is heavy"? At what chapter were you like, "Okay, I'm not gonna give them too much gas on this one, but I need y'all to get it"? Like, what was it? And did you go to Alabama and write this? I just have a lot of questions. Who did you connect with more in this book? Jackson or Lee? Lay. Lee. Lay. Who did you connect more with? Who? And what was your inspiration of her family being the way that her family was? You see how I'm not giving away spoilers still? Like, how did you write it in a way that she really was the last one standing, and why? Why did you need that to be the story? Why not take the story a different way? And what was your inspiration? What was your inspiration for this one? Was it a little bit of your own story woven into this? Because not saying that this is that you were the person in this story, but what is it about your life, maybe not, that was woven into this? And where was this story birthed from? I'm just interested to know because this one was so good. How does it feel once you've finished this book? It's gone through the process, the publishers, the editors, the artwork, all of those things. And when you finally get down to it and it is on shelves, what does that feel like? What does that feel like? What do you want us to walk away as readers from with this book? What are you trying to tell us? What is the lesson that we need to learn? How does it feel when you hear people reviewing this book and saying that it was so good? How does that make you feel inside? Does that inspire you to say, like, "Yep, I'm good, I'm done"? Or does that inspire you and does that fuel you to say, "I need to write some more. I got some more that I want to give y'all. I got some heavy hitters that's coming." And do you have? Because if you do, please let me know. I want to know. I want to be first in line because this one was good. This one was good. That's all I got, Miss Harris. That's all I got. That's it. That's all I got. So listen, if you are a reader and you're looking for your next book and you're like, "Oh my gosh, I don't know what to read," this one is the one for you. Where the Wildflowers Grow by Terah Shelton Harris. Go get it. It is good. 5 out of 5. Thank you for this art. Thank you for this work, Miss Harris. Again, you got the next one coming, when you drop in the heat for the next one, send it to me. I will read it. Let's sit down. Let's talk. Let's talk because this one was good. Y'all, thank you so much for joining me for this episode. Make sure that you're keeping up with all these episodes in this series. This book, Where the Wildflowers Grow, make sure that you go get it. Make sure you add it to your library and make sure you take the time to read it and let it sit with you because it is good, y'all. Make sure you go get this one. Until next time, girl, be you. Bye, y'all.